Welcome to this video, round 3 coverage of the Zurich chess challenge. And unlike yesterday, I'm actually doing this video during a rather normal time in the evening. And I'm ready to present to you 3 games. There are only 3 games in this tournament. To be honest, I much prefer to have those bigger events, but they tend to nowadays limit the field to relatively few players. It saves money and gives those record-breaking rating averages. If you invite 10 players, it's much harder to get those high averages. Just a mathematical normality. Okay, let's see what happened today. As we only have 5 rounds in this tournament, every game counts for much. And let's see what happened today. Aronian Gelfand is the first game I'm going to show. And Gelfand nowadays really goes for the Grunfeld. His prep for the World Championship match is still used. And Aronian plays g3, which surprises me a little bit. Gelfand had played the c65 line before, and he lost against Magnus, but still it is a very solid line, and it's at least in my book not too attractive to play against that. But okay, Aronian wants to try against the c65 setup, and he comes up with the exchange and knight f3, going for the symmetrical line. And now knight e5. Yeah, this is the only way really to try for a little bit in this exchange line on d5. I really think white should try something less simplifying, like queen b3 earlier, or what Magnus did with queen a4. But Aronian went for this, and Gelfand now plays an interesting move that I wasn't really aware of, that this is existing. The normal way to play for black here is actually something like this: castles, knight c3, and then black very often just plays e6 and then challenges the knight on e5. This is believed to be quite okay for black. Gelfand played a completely different idea. He played knight e4, just keeping the symmetry, and it seems that this is completely playable. I'm really surprised that this is even existing, and there are some pretty high-rated examples before that. Not on the absolutely highest level, but some grandmasters have played the move. Probably this is why I don't know it. You, as a spectator, in the lines you don't play yourself regularly, you mostly know what the absolute top guys are playing, and there I never saw the move. Yeah, the idea is simply to do the same that white is doing. If a knight pops up on c6 or d7, or here c3 and d2, he just wants to exchange it. This is also an idea of knight e5. If black plays a move like knight c6, this type of trade can get black into long-term problems with the c-pawn and the c5 square. Knight e4, knight d2. Yeah, well, black just trades. This was the idea. He has, of course, lost some time, but the simplification is very welcome. And if you look at this, now knight d7, it's very difficult for white to even keep something on the board. Now the knight is challenged, and what should he do? He played bishop c3, and it's very difficult not to allow too many trades. I mean, if you take, for example, there's absolutely nothing going on. It's completely equal. Yeah, even a move like queen b3, attacking here. Black can even play e6. I mean, this is also possible, but this is even this is okay, as this is also hanging. Yeah, this is just very dead. And well, he played bishop c3, and now Gelfand played knight f6, intending knight e4 again. And simply this type of position, it does not have enough bite for white to get anything substantial. It's at best a very minuscule edge. And in the game we see that after queen b3, knight e4, yeah, black is intending to just take on c3 and get rid of the bishops. Yeah, this provoked white to take on e4, trying to get some sort of imbalance going, but it didn't really help much. Rook d1, yeah, this is maybe intending d5, but queen b6 was played now. And yeah, what should white do? If you don't want to trade queens, you don't really have a great square. I mean, you can go to a4, and then black can, if everything else fails, he can just hack the knight off and put the bishop somewhere, like here. And there's absolutely nothing going on. We've got opposite colored bishops, and well, it's no endgame, but it can easily be even more simplified after trades on the d file. Note that one idea for white could be e6, to open up the long diagonal, especially if the queen can get somehow involved in this. It can get tricky. But in most cases, after a move like e6, I mean, here e6 is just not working at all. Black can even play f6. So this is a position without any ideas. He traded on b6 and continued with knight c4, attacking this weakened pawn. But black, in fact, does not really react to that. Played bishop e6 simply because white cannot take. If he takes rook e6, I mean, he can take, but this is very simple now. The knight does not have any squares. They are all controlled. So d5 needs to be played, and this leads to mass exchanges like that. And this is going to be a draw. Yeah, meaning white cannot take on b6 with any hope for an edge. He played d5, which yeah, is a bit more fighting, but at the end does not endanger black too much. It takes e2 here. Now he took and played king f1. e2 was hanging, so need to react to that. Yeah, this is a quite interesting position. At first, I thought, when I looked at this, I thought that white is really better because, well, the pawn structure, this looks weak. This is also potentially weak. And we can put a bit more on the board, something like that. I thought white should have something because of the better pawn structure. But black has a very good maneuver, and this is what Gelfand played. He played king f6, and this is just very strong. The king is intending to join the game on e5. And this is very, very important. And this shows that chess is really a game of dynamic imbalances sometimes. White has the better structure, and it looks all nice. But he has one problem as well, or a disadvantage compared to black's position. And this is the king. The king on f1 is not really doing much, and it takes some moves to get into play. If you play the f-pawn, for example, you exchange off a weak pawn on e4. You don't want that. So how do you activate it? You need to go all the way f1, e1, d2, c3, and so on. And in the meantime, black can easily here activate the king and even maybe start some play against the d5 pawn. Yeah, the pawn is just protected by the knight and can easily be attacked further. So this is a very important defensive resource, king f6 to e5, activating the king. And these kind of ideas are often overlooked by less experienced players because they tend to yeah, sometimes confuse the middle game with the end game. In the end game, the king really should play, and often can advance far up the board if there's no specific threat against it to join the battle. And this is what black is doing here. And it also leads to this idea, d5 check. So black needs to cover that, and he still has king e5.
Check.
Knight g4, king f5.
Check.
And back. Yeah, in fact, it is white who here
check
forced the draw. The game ended right here with, it's not a perpetual check, but it's a repetition of moves, and both sides really have no way forward here. If we look at this again,
check.
This is what we had in the game. If white tries to do anything to win, yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is or what it should be. Let's say he plays a move like h4, yeah, just for argument's sake. Then black's idea is to play h5, cover g4, and now it gets serious. King e5, rook c6, and I'm taking the pawn. And suddenly black is the one to push for a win. And yeah, this is just the problem. White has no good way to activate this knight to join the battle and do something against the pawn on d6, or support the pawn on d6, for example. So white cannot really play for win, but black also has little ideas to do more than go here and secure the draw. So fair result, I think. Only, yeah, I just think that this opening is not ambitious enough. You need to try to keep a little bit more pieces on the board. However, Gelfand's knight e4 here is maybe a good way to play if you just want to equalize completely. And maybe Aronian wasn't aware of this possibility or the consequences of it. Don't know. Okay, next game. Let's look at Caruana against Arnold. I'm changing the order of games here a bit because, frankly speaking, this round had one game that clearly stood out, and the two others were not that exciting. And I'm doing the two less exciting games first, and be brief about it, and then concentrate on the hit game of the round, which obviously is Nakamura against Carlsen. Okay, Caruana against Anand. Vishy has lost the first two games, so he really needs to get on the scoreboard. Yeah, Caruana is playing the Reti opening, and he's playing the pure Reti move order with 2c4, a move order that is in fact quite interesting for white, and it would be one of my preferred move orders myself if I look at my own tournament games, if it wasn't for the move d4, which I always found slightly annoying because black takes space in the center, and they don't really like so much to play Benoni type of structure. And this is my problem with this move order. Anand, however, just played c6. He didn't go for d4. Maybe he's more focused on solid play here after two losses. d4 is much sharper. Okay, Caruana is playing d4. He just transposes to a regular d4 opening. Here white, of course, has some ways to try to benefit from not playing d4, like b3 or e3. This is interesting. Or g3, those Reti type of moves. But d4 just goes to a regular Slav. Bishop g4. Yeah, this one good line after e3. Black has many lines that are similar in reputation, all solid. Bishop f5, bishop g4 as Vishy played, or g6, they're all good. Okay, bishop g4. And black's general plan in this Slav structure is, of course, to get the bishop out of the pawns chain and be solid in the center. G4, bishop g6. and cd5. This is a bit uncommon, this early trade. Usually white starts with knight e5 in this position, and will get the bishop pair. The compensation for the bishop pair and for black is, yeah, it's not so apparent. He's got a very solid structure, but still, it should be always a little something if white grabs the bishops. It happens in the game as well that white plays knight e5, but only after the trade. Yeah, interestingly, Vichy took with the knight. This is a bit uncommon. I'm not saying in this exact position because this position is not very much explored, but normally black recaptures with the pawn. Yeah, it all makes sense though. For black, he gets rapid piece development and has, as mentioned, a very solid structure in compensation for having given up the bishop pair. Yeah, g5 is a good move. The idea is to free the g6 square for a knight. For example, knight f8, g6 to h4, and we'll see more of that in the game. Another point of this is that it looks at the f4 square. What is white's plan here? White's plan is typically to play e4 at some stage, gaining more space in the center, and then f4 would be a welcome square for the knight, and this is what black is trying to prepare. Yeah, here this might get counterplay. Yeah, and again, looking at the f4 square. So black is playing in anticipation of this e4 push. Yeah, and white covers f4. So he tries to renew the threat. Yeah, first looking at b7, provoking a move, and then e4. Yeah, this position is yeah, somewhere between a bit better for white and equal. He's got play in the center, but black has got some counter chances. Of course, he goes to f4 as planned, and after this trade, white played h4 to use this slightly shaky position of the bishop on f4. Black played e5. Yeah, black needs to play on the dark squares. This is the area of the board where his strength is, and this also makes sure that the bishop on g2 is a bit of a silly piece. Yeah, white responds d5. This certainly makes sense. He wants to play on the light squares. If he takes on e5, black can
Check.
regain the pawn easily and get e5 later. This is not so attractive, I think. Caruana played d5. I think this is the right decision. Knight g6, activating the knight, and now he took on c6. Yeah, black has sacrificed the pawn temporarily, but it's no big deal.
Check.
He's got the check. And now castles. Yeah, as compensation for the pawn, white has now taken. The compensation for the pawn is that black will get this back, just one pawn down. And the problem is white's king is still in the middle of the board. Therefore, his rook is not playing, and the bishop is also weak. Black will certainly get some play on the king side as compensation. And what white is doing now, I think, is very sensible, but it returns the pawn quite quickly. It's difficult to not do that. I mean, what should white do? Let's say if he takes, just for example, black takes here, queen back, maybe here, and then rook b8, for example. Yeah, white now has 1-2 pawns, but how do you continue here? Got weak pieces, weak squares, and b2 hangs, and it's very difficult to keep the pawn here even. White is in big trouble. I think what Caruana did is very sensible. He played knight d5, which is getting the queens off, and now he played b4 using his own majority, 2 against 1. He h4 hangs, but what should he do? He could have played h5. This would have been an alternative, but after knight h4, it's not so clear what white should do. I mean, black will get b2 back. This is essentially a double attack. And yeah, it's not great. If white takes here, and something like this is looks like playing for a loss. Very very ugly. Yeah, I think b4 is very decent move. And now black regained the pawn on h4. And I think this is finally balanced. White has this play with the 2 against 1 pawn, while black has the h4 pawn. And this nicely positioned bishop, which irritates white. Yeah, after a couple of more moves, yeah, white played a very useful regrouping, activating the bishop. Yeah, this is an excellent square. So white needs to prevent that. On knight e6 now he would of course he could just take it. Yeah, this is what happened. And they repeated quite a lot, lots of times, and here they agreed to a draw. Yeah, it's very hard for both sides to make any substantial progress here. It's especially if you look at this, how is white ever going to play b5 with black controlling the c file? That's very difficult. So I think a very fair result with the draw. Solid play by Vichy, and Caruana didn't really get anywhere near an advantage in this game. So it's good for him, for Vichy, to have stopped the losing streak of 2 games. Okay, now we go for the main course of of this round. Nakamura against Carlsen. Yeah, of course, if you know the history between the 2 players, they have played quite a number of tournament games, of course, already. And Carlsen has an overwhelming score of, I think, 8 wins, no loss. And of course, a couple of draws. Nakamura has never won a single classical time control game against Carlsen. But with Nakamura's ambitions and now being number 3 in the world, or sort of hovering between 3, 4, he certainly should get a win somewhere against Magnus. So let's see what happens here. Also note that this is of course paramount for the tournament standings, as both players have won 1 game, drawn 1. So if this would have an decisive results, the winner would have excellent chance of winning the tournament. Nakamura playing d4, good choice. No Berlin. And we come to see the Nimzo. Yeah, in general, I think that playing the white side of the Nimzo is a very good fighting choice if you play d4. And just like Anand did in game 9 of the World Championship match, where he came close to do something against Carlsen, and then he blundered with it was what was rook f4, I think, where he gave away. Was it rook f4? Yeah, well, it was a very, very sharp game, and it was this f3 move, and this is what Nakamura plays here as well. And also, just a coincidence, what I recommended back in 2011 in my small d4 repertoire video series as a good way to fight for white. Yeah, f3 is a very straightforward move. It addresses the main point of the Nimzo, the e4 square, controlling it with the pawn. And yeah, white is certainly eager to get e4 in here, getting a big pawn center. Carlsen is playing d5, the most solid response that immediately gets some space in the center. a3, and here he played a surprising move. Normally every top player here just captures
Check.
and plays c5. And this is also what was played in the World Championship match game. After cd5, Carlsen played ed5. Also a surprise in this match game. Knight d5 being the overwhelming main line. But this is the main battleground of the f3 Nimzo. What Carlsen now plays, bishop e7, really has a slightly dodgy reputation. I mean, in the post-game press conference, Carlsen said something like, yeah, I knew this is a bit risky, this line, but I thought I have some counter chance and so on. Well, we see that the idea connected to this is indeed risky. After e4, which Nakamura played, Black is taking on e4 and plays e5. This is the idea behind this bishop e7 retreat. Black immediately wants to get this counterplay with e5 and sort of forces white to play d5. Yeah, of course you cannot really take here. It's ruining your pawn structure after something like that.
Check.
You will probably get it back rather quickly. So d5 anyway is the idea. And this of course secures white some nice space advantage in the center. Black's idea is to play that. Activating this bishop. Okay, it's moving again, but it will get an interesting post on d4. And Black has some good piece control over the dark squares. However, the reason why all this is risky is that white still has this space advantage in the center, and it very quickly, we see that very quickly after some normal moves, really. Yeah, I'm not sure about bishop g4 and taking, but I wanted to address this position. We see that Black indeed will manage to get a piece on d4. This is nice, but what is Black's plan after that? It's nice to have it on d4, and we see that just to put it on the board. He played it. It's nice to have this on d4, but what is your concrete way forward as Black? White has a very straightforward plan, and Nakamura is playing simply those moves, c5, and now he goes g4, knight to g3. Oh, this is a wrong arrow. Knight to g3, develop the bishop, and then maybe h4, g5, just push everything on the king side. And where exactly is Black's counterplay? It's not so clear to me what Black is doing against that. We see that he tries a5 and rook a6. We can put this on the board. Yeah, this g6 is also debatable, but this is Black's idea. He wants to play against b2 and generate some counterplay. But this is rather easily covered. And after that, White has a very simple, straightforward play on the king side. To be honest, I just thought that this is a very, very bad opening for Black. This looks really nice on d4, I understand, but isn't White's play... yeah, it is quite obvious. I mean, Nakamura does not really need to do anything too special here and gets a fantastic position. Let's see what happened. Yeah, g6, not a move you love to play, but do you want a knight on f5? Certainly not. So g6, not a very not a happy move, but knight f5 also would have been very, very difficult to defend. Yeah, this is fairly logical. Rook h2 is a strong move. It covers b2 and also prepares a further doubling on the h-file. So a good move to combine attack and defense. Queen a5, yeah. I think that this is the idea. He wants to move the f6 knight, and you cannot do that while you're pinned. Bishop d2, back to c7. And now g5 and h5. So very easy play for Nakamura. He just needed to push the king side, and after rook b6, here's another important point. I think for a strong player, the next move is quite obvious, but situations like that tend to be very tricky for amateur players. If you look at this position, what should white do? He has a very obvious move. This is bishop a5. And how to assess this position? Yeah, I think a strong player quite quickly comes to the conclusion that bishop a5, winning the exchange, is really not worth it, because rook takes b2
Check.
is possible for black. Rook takes and queen a5. And you notice that it's no big deal for black to have given up the exchange. You still have this bishop here. And it feels like black has gained something. White's king is more of a problem now. And white cannot so easily push the pieces over to the king side to attack. It just slows down white's attack. Nakamura played bishop c1, and this is just much stronger. I mean, it's not a world-class move. I think a good master player would do that as well. But it's very important to not cash in too early sometimes. Bishop a5 is just selling your position too cheaply. You only get this exchange for a pawn. This is not good enough. In this position, white should seek to try to checkmate black, or really gain substantial material and not like half a pawn, let's say. Yeah, rook b3. This is the only active piece that black has, combined with the bishop. Queen g4. And knight b6. Yeah, black is trying for some sort of counterplay against c4, and also allowing to use the queen to switch over to the king side. Yeah, he also could have tried knight d6, but the real issue is white has a simple attacking plan. The bishop moves, it goes to c2 and rook to h1, and black has no defense. It's sometimes really an interesting phenomenon. If you have such a nice bishop on d4, it just a defender less for the king, let's say. Black would very much in this position probably prefer to have this bishop on g7. It's just it sounds weird, but it would help to protect the king. It will still be a bad position for black, but it would be helpful in defense, while here on d4 it's not helping at all to defend. Yeah, as mentioned, knight d6, bishop d3, it's not helping much. Something like that is unbearable for black. I mean, here you can also win the exchange probably, because the retreat is also very poor. Yeah, this is what was played, and now bishop e2. Yeah, this is the simple plan. Double on the h file. Yeah, black's position is super critical. What he tried to do is, I think, very human. He wants to have some sort of counterplay. He went knight, oops, wrong button. Went knight to d6, counter-attacking on c4. And yeah, well, just hoping that it's not an immediate mate. Rook h1. Very obvious move. However, there were alternatives. A good alternative was to just take on g6 here. The idea is that after the recapture, which is probably the move that black will play, you can give this check here.
Check.
King h8. And now rook h1. This is also very strong for white. The point is that after rook takes here.
Check. Check.
After all this, there is a double attack. Those two pieces are loose. This is also very strong. Nakamura here is in a position where he can play many moves that probably win. This is one of them, and he played it. Yeah, Carlsen is of course looking for counterplay, and there's it's time for desperate measures. He took on b2. Yeah, this is not objectively great or anything, but the only way to get some kind of play. White took it and takes on c4. He wants to activate his remaining pieces to the maximum. Bishop takes, knight takes. Yeah? So black has sacrificed a piece to have some play against the king at least. His only idea to improve further is queen b6. And we see that, well, this is coming shortly. Yeah, what is white's best move? It's a simple one, to take on g6. Nakamura also went for that. And now, of course, Carlsen is not recapturing on g6. If you would take here, for example, you just have this check, and after king h8, white can even take on g6 here, and it collapses on h7. Yeah, note that after rook takes, there are two rooks on the h file, so no problem at all. Of course, Carlsen's idea was different. He went queen b6. The only way, absolutely only way to get some sort of counterplay. And yeah, it hangs on b2 now. And what should white do? Yeah, it's in fact a case again where more than one move is probably winning. What Nakamura is playing is okay, but there were also alternatives and straightforward ones. He also could have taken on f7 here.
Check.
Also an interesting move. If black recaptures, then knight h5, intending this check. And it's very difficult now to see a defense. After
check.
Rook takes, white is of course not taking to get mated, just plays king a1. And yeah, I really don't see a defense. Also note that queen c8 check is coming. Yeah, probably this was winning as well. What he did, g7, is also winning, but it's it needs to be precisely followed upon. Okay. Of course, a simple one. Black cannot take here. This is, or this one. It's all a mate. Like this.
Check. Checkmate.
Leading to a mate. Black cannot take. He played rook d8. Of course, you can ask what happens after this. White is playing king a1. And after that, he needs to address this hanging rook. Probably with rook d8 leading to the game. Yeah. In the game, he played rook d8 first, and after queen h4, he took on b2. Yeah, this looks wild, but it's perfectly okay for white. This happened, and now queen here. Knight f5, all completely obvious. But note that by now, white has got 5 pawns. Black has got 6 pawns. So white is a pawn down. But okay, it's obvious he has a very strong attack. But yeah, you need to be precise here. Now knight e7 is threatened, so black covers that. And here in this position, the question is how to continue. And Nakamura here had a very concrete chance to win the game, and he didn't find it. It's an interesting position to analyze yourself, not with a computer preferably. Try to do it like in a regular game. It's interesting to find the best move here. It seems that the best move here is, I mean, there are more than one. There's more than one good move. But I think the most powerful here is queen f2. This has a very strong threat, but it's not a very typical threat, so not so easy to spot. White's threat is rook takes h7. And this is very strong. If black plays, I should probably just play it out. If black plays a move like that, yeah, then rook takes h7 is coming. The easy line is of course king takes. We can start with that.
Check.
Leading to a direct mate on h8.
Checkmate.
No, this was too much. So we need to look at queen takes. And after that, of course,
check.
knight h6 is coming. After that,
check, 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 checkmate.
It's a long line, but it's a correct one. Winning with the checkmate. So black has no choice. He needs to give up the queen here. And this is of course completely winning for white. It's not just the queen, it's also queen here. The d pawn, it's too much. It's just too much. Black will lose this shortly. Comp is on +10. Queen h4 to f2. This was a very direct way to win. But rook takes h7 is not it's a motif that is not so easy to spot. He played queen g4, which does not spoil anything, threatening rook h6. Black needs to react to that. Played queen b6 so that on rook h6 you have queen b2 mate. And went back. Queen g6. Yeah, he was looking for the win, but he didn't find it. Maybe here, I didn't analyze that, but what about queen f1 here? Just thinking about that. This may be winning as well, with the same idea. I didn't look at this, but maybe this is winning as well. Let's say b5, and if you take on h7 now, isn't this winning? Yeah, it is winning. It's just the same. Just the same. I switched on the comp just to be sure, to not tell any nonsense. Yeah, this is also winning. So it seems that he absolutely didn't spot the rook takes h7 idea, which is really finishing the game off. Yeah, this was too quick. They repeated a while, and here again, after let's say queen h4 or queen f1, it's just winning. Instead of that, he played d6, and it seems that this is a really substantial mistake. It's basically winning a piece, but it's not winning the game. This is the issue. Black takes, white takes, and of course black cannot take on d6 because of the mate here.
Checkmate.
So rook d8, and now black has activated. This is the crazy fact. The rook now is on an open file, and what should white do? He played the knight to c4. This was the intention all along. What else? I mean, he could have gone to f5. This is also a possibility, but look
Check.
at this. Check.
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 Check. Check. Checkmate.
And suddenly white is mated. Knight f5 is just neglecting neglecting the e6 square. This is why he went to c4. But now after queen takes, black suddenly has some real counterplay. Queen e1 check, rook d1 check. And note that white's king is not too secure. In addition, of course, this knight is hanging. Okay, there's a mate threat on h7, so black is not immediately threatening to take it, but the knight has absolutely no secure square anymore. It had an excellent pose on f5, protected by the e4 pawn, but now the knight is just, it doesn't have a secure operating base anymore. And here we are on move 40, the notorious move 40, the last move before the time control. And Nakamura now needs to take an important decision what to play here. D1 is the threat. Rook D1 is the threat. And there are basically two moves to address this issue. Knight E3 and Queen H5. He went for Queen H5 and it turns out that this move is losing the game. As hard as it is, he had a totally winning position 5 moves ago, and now after Queen H5 it is even losing. It seems that, I'll show you why, but it seems that Knight E3 instead would have secured the draw. It's of course very difficult to assess this with limited time. The computer is just merciless, just 0, 0, 0. But well, we're not computers, and to be honest, I didn't follow the game live today. I was mostly sleeping the whole day. But when I went through this and I saw that he spoiled this completely winning position, it's quite. Usually you lose. Yeah, you don't even draw after you spoil such a big advantage. You find ways to even lose, simply because he was certainly aware that he had a totally winning position, and maybe he even saw some winning line and played another one because he thought, okay, this wins as well, and then, oh, it's not winning. Well, this is bad. You simply you don't have the psychological strength to fight to a draw. At least 99.9% of the players don't. And here, Knight E3, it seems, would have drawn, but it's not easy at all to see all that. Queen D3, for example, is a move that looks very threatening. Here, for example, Queen C3, but it seems that Knight F5 is securing a draw. It's a bit strange, this type of back and forth, but there's only one heavy piece that can invade on the D file, and it's better to have the queen there than the rook coming in. Here, this is
Check.
really only a draw. Something like
Check.
this is a perpetual. But why is this such a mistake? The problem is that Carlsen now has rook d3, and he finds it. This is the amazing thing about this guy. If you give him a chance, a really concrete chance, he will take it. Absolutely, he will take it. I mean, he was completely busted. And now there's the point, it's also only this move wins. Every other move is just drawing or losing. He needs to play exactly that move, and he does. And yeah, what is so strong about it? The point is, it's just b5. White really lacks a good move in this position. And black's next move will be b5. And if this knight moves again, a3 falls, and the white king is just hunted down. It's just terrible. White, what should white do now? You only have this threat against h7, and you cannot strengthen your attack in any way. He played rook h4, attacking the queen, and the same way also covering the knight. And black just retreated to f5, keeping this threat in the position. Yeah, queen e2. You need to cover that. Yeah, and here Carlsen had, I know he played that, sorry, b5 was played, attacking the knight, and it retreated here. I was referring to this position. Here he had a very comfortable choice between two moves. Rook takes a3. He
Check.
also could have played king moves and somewhere, let's say here. And black is also in excellent shape. Note that he has 4 pawns already for the knight, and those 2 pawns are doomed. And it's the king, yeah. The king is just totally insecure. It's quite remarkable how safe black's king is. This is a typical case where the white pawn on g7 is not helping at all. White, I mean, it's just a nice pawn to cover black. Yeah, this was very strong for black as well. He decided to play queen g5, and this is just as strong. It has the benefit that rooks are off, and this maybe makes it simpler to play. Now this is attacked, so we have only this sequence. And now we basically have an end game with big amount of pawns. Yeah, this is also gone, of course. Yeah, here knight c5.
Check.
Now come on,
Check.
failed to that, losing the knight or the queen trade.
Check.
And the queen trade is of course also lost. Combined force of the h pawn and potentially the a pawn is too much for the knight. The knight is the absolutely least suitable piece to stop pawns, especially those flank pawns. It's just completely lost. So couldn't take on c5. Yeah, and here Carlsen is just mercilessly
Check.
winning this game, pushing the pawns. It's now easy. You just need to make sure you don't blunder to some attack or to some fork. Black is just pushing pawns. H pawn, B pawn.
Check.
Yeah, he was giving that away, but you have the H pawn. This is the main point. Yeah, also this, it's an overload, and now threatening to promote. Yeah, they lots of pawns. I didn't even look at this final phase of the game, so
Check.
this is how it went.
Check.
And here Nakamura resigned after black covered the e7 square. So after king move you can promote, and white does not even have a meaningful check here. So an absolutely devastating loss for Nakamura, who had a completely winning position and deservedly should have won, because Carlsen's setup in the opening was really dubious, and it should have cost him the game.
Check.
But here, exactly here, he didn't find the concrete way to win with the queen f2, rook h7. This is the clearest way. Maybe there are more. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's more than one way to win the game. Trying to figure out something else here. There's something else between queen f2, besides queen f2. Rook h6 would be very nice to get played, but black always plays queen to b6. Yeah, well, you only need one win, but just trying to find something else. Yeah, well, okay, it's a game that shows that you really need to take your chances. If you have such a brilliant position, you need to really finish it off. And Carlsen is absolutely merciless in exploiting those situations where the opponent is not playing the absolute killer move and letting him back into the game. And it's amazing that he won this. I mean, it's more due to Nakamura's failure, let's say, than to Carlsen's credit. But it happens so often that it is no coincidence. He's winning positions that he really shouldn't win, or it's very, very tough defense, playing the only moves, and by now it's also a thought of a psychological thing. Of course, people really get scared of his abilities, and especially Nakamura with his terrible score. I mean, I really think that Nakamura, on a good day, he would find moves like queen f2, rook h7 in a bullet game. Really, I think he's so good at tactics, and I really don't know. Maybe around here he was already second guessing himself if he had spoiled something before. Yeah, maybe I should have done this, should have done that. Was this the best way to play, and so on? You don't know. I mean, maybe he didn't really. Maybe he thought he already had spoiled something. It's difficult to say. Okay, a very important game, of course, for this tournament. Now Carlsen leading with 2 wins, and 2 wins out of 5 games is already quite substantial. Very lucky, of course. Nakamura should have won here, but yeah, that's the game of chess. It's a matter of mistakes and exploiting them, and it's not only about getting good positions out of the opening or something. Carlsen very often shows that you can win even out of bad positions. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back, I guess, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow should be round 4. Yeah, I'll be back for round 4, regardless if it is tomorrow or whatever. Thanks for watching.